For the fifth year in a row. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation warns that work on tackling destitution is, quote, in peril and could fall apart. The report found that 14 million people, that's over a fifth of the population, now live in poverty. It's thought that nearly 400,000 more children are currently in poverty than they were 5 years ago, and that 300,000 more pensioners are in poverty now than they were in 2012. Well, joining me now for more on this is Labour MP for Derby, Chris Williamson. Chris, thanks for talking to us this evening. What exactly do these reports mean when they say poverty?
Well, first of all, let me say this is a damning indictment on this government's obsession with austerity, which has been imposed on the country for the last 7 years now. And let's remember that we are the sixth richest nation on the planet. We were the fifth richest nation, so it's not even working economically. We've fallen from fifth to sixth place as a result of the economic policies that this government is pursuing. But what it means for people is that they're put in the invidious position of having to, for example, choose between heating their homes properly and putting food on the table. You know, and every single year in this country, there are thousands of people who die because they're living in cold homes, the ill health problems that they get as a consequence of living in a cold house.
Mr. Williamson, though, when we say poverty, what do we actually mean? It's such an emotive word, isn't it? What does it literally mean for people? What sort of percentage is it of the top income or the mean income, for example?
Well, it means that people simply haven't got enough money to actually, survive adequately. People are living in inadequate homes. They are not got enough money to feed themselves properly. We're seeing people, for example, being subjected to absolutely disgusting sanctions and benefits being withheld from people. So they're literally in penury. We've seen, for example, a huge increase in the number of people being forced to use food banks in order to be able to feed themselves. And these aren't always people who are unemployed. Many of the people now, indeed the majority of the people, for example, using food banks now, having to go for food handouts, are themselves in employment. And we saw a Conservative MP recently lauding it at the opening of a new food bank. I mean, this is a stain on the nation. It's not something we should be celebrating in the sixth richest nation on the planet.
These are tough economic times, though, aren't they? I mean, we needed austerity, didn't we, to try and prepare for a slightly brighter future. It was necessary under the circumstances.
Well, I think some people bought into that lie, but it was very clearly a lie. As I've already said, we are a very wealthy nation, and the fact is that the government has made political choices. They've made the choice, for example, to offer tax cuts to wealthy elites and faceless corporations at the same time as they're making big reductions in social security benefits, for example, and holding down the wages of ordinary working people. It's about political priorities in the end, and we believe that the priority should be for the majority, not the minority.
Well, the Prime Minister, when she came into power, made quite a big deal about talking about just about managing families. Philip Hammond talked in his budget last month about letting people get easier access to universal credit. So they are talking about these things. They do know this is happening, don't they?
Well, talk is cheap, but they've utterly failed. I mean, Theresa May's utterly failed at just about managing. And as far as Philip Hammond is concerned, I mean, the minor concessions that he made with regard to universal credit, for example, will still leave people, a number of people who have recently gone on to universal credit, penniless over Christmas. So clearly it's not working. That's why the Labour Party has called, for example, for a pause in the rollout of the universal credit to fix the problem. Universal credit shouldn't be resulting in people being even worse off than they already are. And if we organised our economy properly, if we invested in decent and good quality jobs, if we started building homes for people again, then we would actually be able to fix the problems that many people are experiencing. As I've said, this is about political priorities, and this government is making the wrong political